I suppose, are the dailies boring? Well, not if you go on your seal clubbing account, it's not. That's the solution. If it ever gets boring, make a second account. Or a third account in this case. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to make Gran Turismo Sport a little bit more exciting, if you think it's boring, sign into your second or third account, your seal clubbing account, and have a bit of fun. That's exactly what we're going to do here in this BS rated FIA lobby as R4M Alex Albon. So yes, hello viewers, not Super GT here, Alex Albon here. We're going to go and have a bit of fun. What does this prove? Not really anything. It's just a bit of fun. Starting from the back, it really harks back to the hardcore Forza days of avoiding trouble and trying to survive the race. So we're going to dive into the pit lane here. We're not going to we're not going to set a lap time in qualifying, because of course the aim is to start at the back, have a bit of fun with it, and see if we can get through the pack without dying of death. So there we have it, starting 20th. Now it's been a long time since we've done an FIA intro. There's confirmation of the grid. So let's go over to Kaz, who has a beautiful rendition for us. Thank you very much, Kaz. Take it away, lad.
Get in there, Lewis. Miracles do happen, mate.
Get in there, Kaz. Fantastic rendition, mate. Miracles certainly do happen. But anyway, we're back at the circuit, Red Bull Ring, in the Mazda touring car. We're not going to take a look at the full grid because that takes about 10 years. At the back of the pack, though, we have 2 Red Bull cars, interestingly enough. And there we have it. Alex Albon starting 20th out of 20. Can he repeat the heroics, as we signed back into our account? Can we repeat the heroics of Spa 2019, where he actually came through from the back to get quite far up the order? Let's see, shall we? So this race, 11 laps, it's a no-stopper with a bit of fuel saving. And that's what made me think this is going to be a very boring race on my main account. In fact, again, watching Key's live stream, I was watching Key's live stream to decide whether or not I should make a video on this. And I thought, okay, let's just sign into the Seal Clubbing account and, you know, let's have a bit of fun with it. So coming up into turn 1, let's see how this one goes down. Main thing here, of course, is just avoiding the trouble, which has already occurred. Now, to be fair, as someone gets a penalty already, you get trouble in all levels. It doesn't matter if it's the low-level accounts or the high-levels accounts. In these races where it's very packed, going into turn 1 with a standing start, you're going to get carnage, basically guaranteed. It's almost impossible to avoid it. But there you go, up into 17th already, and coming through turn number 3, a couple more people going very wide. Guy on the right hand side is going to serve his penalty, of course. So we go flying past him, up now to 16th position. So solid returns. Now the good thing here, I suppose, is that we are only 6 seconds away from the leader of the race, given that we had a standing start, someone else spinning out. So the pack is actually quite close. Normally with the rolling starts, you're a good 15, 16 seconds away from the lead instantly at the very beginning of the race. But a little bit closer here. A couple more people going very wide as we come down the hill here, coming back onto the circuit, just trying to pick our way through and meander our way through the trouble. Someone on the left hand side having to give them space, someone else coming back on off the circuit, luckily ghosting out. We can go directly through them, through that little gap as well. Have a look at the radar, it's all kicking off. And we're up into 11th place. I'm going to cover the inside line here, play it nice and safe. The Italian up against the Russian. There's contact mid-apex. We're going to go through the middle. Try not to make too much contact. Again, about 6 people on the radar. Coming down to the final corner, and we've made our way from 20th to 9th on that first lap. Not really by doing anything special, but just by picking your way through, just making sure you avoid the trouble. Many seals have been clubbed, and I do apologise for that terminology, but it was actually pointed out to me not too long ago and I wasn't really aware of the turn, to be honest. But this race isn't really here to prove anything at all. It's just honestly for a bit of fun, for something different. And you know what? I think it's a part of me trying to avoid carnage and trouble. Back from the Forza days, of course. As we look behind, and actually it looks like the trouble is way back there. So I'm glad I'm not back there in that group. We've escaped the worst of the trouble. Or have I? Maybe not. We'll see. As we come down the hill into turn 4 on the brakes, nice and late. Got a good group here, 5-6 cars. Well, 5 cars. I'm going to try and go past Falcon Racer 63. Now we're not going to be too aggressive. We don't need to be too aggressive because of the fuel. You do have to save quite a bit of fuel here. So 11 laps, and you're looking at therefore 9% per lap pretty much. So you don't want to use too much. I'm just wondering how many people here are going to go for a pit stop, because a lot of the time not everyone is sure of the strategy. I think a lot of people just go full out on the revs and end up using up too much fuel and therefore have to pit. So there may well be a few people here who do that. So you might not have to worry about overtaking absolutely everyone. So Frenchman slow off the turn as we come out of the final corner, crossing the line to begin the 3rd lap. And we are now in 10th. We actually lost a position overall in that lap. Coming up into turn 1, 2x2. And the Czech guy's just going to get nudged wide. Going to try to move over to the right hand side as he rejoins, but we're going to gain 2 positions there. As we're going to whip it forwards here a couple of times, because these cars take a awful long time to get from one corner to the next. Fairly lengthy straights here. I just wonder, is this car maybe too slow for this circuit? But it would be nicer, this race would be a bit nicer if there was a bit more strategy involved. Because this is basically a theme of this video, but also of the most recent live stream, which was that, is the game getting a little bit stale, a little bit boring? Some repeated combinations you're seeing over and over again, especially in the daily races, where we're seeing Group 4 Brands Hatch, which only came up 2 weeks ago, when there's so many other possible circuits they could use, and yet we're using the same ones over and over. And then you get these kinds of races where there's no strategy involved with it. Of course there's a bit of fuel saving, but I always think it's better if a pit stop is involved, or at least where it's a borderline 1 stop, borderline 0 stop, and both strategies could work. Because like this, everyone has to do exactly the same strategy. And if you watch a top split race, when it's a race like this, everyone just settles into a line, doesn't overtake until the final lap, and it just becomes a big fuel saving exercise for 10 laps and then overtaking on the 11th lap, and it can be quite dull. So that's why I don't often live stream these kinds of races, but also because I perform really badly under pressure on these FIAs, and I think it's better to bring them out as videos typically. But yeah, there's definitely room for improvement, should we say, in the world of Gran Turismo at the moment. But to be fair, the game is a good 2.5 years old now, and we are possibly looking at the next game coming out very, very soon indeed. Let's come through this turn. Someone is on my left hand side, can't quite spot them. Probably should have the radar on, but so concerned with my fuel at the moment. But yeah, Gran Turismo, let's call it 7 or Sport 2, whatever the hell it's going to be. I'm guessing 7. It might not be too far away, but it might be far away. Who knows? Gran Turismo has a record of taking an awful long time to get from one game to the next. So it could be 1 year, could be 50. Who the hell knows? I don't. Probably someone at Sony knows, and also at Polyphony. But I'm sure we'll find out soon enough if it is going to come out this year or next year. Side by side with this guy through the corner. We're going to give each other a nice amount of space. A bit of contact, but it's fine. We get away. Up into 4th place, lap number 5. 4 seconds away from the lead. End of lap 5, 3 seconds away from the lead. Apex King 26.0483. Not quite being the Apex King on that corner. And he kind of really goes against his name there. Probably should change it, to be honest. We go up into 3rd. Now take a look back there. Nice big gap. About 0.7 seconds between myself and the Apex King. We're catching up with the top 2 here. 1.6 seconds away. As we come up into this turn, we're going to turn in. But suddenly the Apex King appears on the apex. He reclaims his name and he just says, oh, there you go, I am the Apex King. Just gives us a quick cheeky wag of the indicators just to show us who's boss. As we come down towards turn number 4 then, are we going to go for a revenge Apex King? I'm going to take his mantle. But no, he's actually taken the corner. Okay, gone a little bit deep. We're going to get a good, better exit. So this is the trouble. This is going to always be the hard thing about these kind of races. If you have the pace, normally you can get through. But you can quite easily get in a scuffle with someone, which can lose you a lot of time. You could inadvertently get wiped out. You could just get into a battle that drags on for a couple of laps, losing you a few seconds. And that's the big danger in these kinds of races. So you have to be careful. You have to try to get past people quickly, but also not get drawn into too much of a battle. But that's exactly what's happened here on lap number 6. As we come into the second to last corner, going really narrow just to really make him think twice. And he doesn't really kind of back out here. So there's one bit of contact, then 2. Second place goes into the pit lane. Apex King showing us who's boss, getting a half-second penalty in the process. So you can see the gap actually extending now. We were within 1.5 seconds of the lead. Now it's kind of doubled to 3 seconds. Just shows you what happens when you start fighting a little bit too much. So coming up into turn 1, going to let him go ahead, but then tuck into the slipstream. Don't need to fight him too up because he's going to have to serve his 0.5 second penalty. So we're not going to go for the move there. We're going to make him sort of take the corner a bit awkwardly, go for the extra speed on the exit, and then just overhaul him on the way to the penalty line, which is there. He serves it, and we can hopefully get away. We've got a nice gap to him there, but that didn't stop him before, did it? As he reclaimed his mantle as the Apex King. Down into turn 4, and boom, he has not appeared. He's no longer the Apex King. So we are clear to go and attack second, away from the Apex King. And here's the situation a little bit later, lap number 8, the end of. As we come down through the penultimate turn, down towards the final corner, up behind Novadose 85. This race is most certainly on here. So 20th up to second on lap 8. Not really proving anything, to be honest, but all good fun. 157.5. Are we going to go for the move up into turn 1? No, not always the best place to do it, because it really does compromise your exit speed. So we might as well just be a little bit patient here. We've got less than 3 laps, pretty much 3 laps, just to try and get this done. We're going to move over to the left-hand side here, drag race up the straight, which isn't exactly straight, but a bit of door banging, which is kind of usual in these types of cars. Coming into this corner then, he's still got the inside. We're going to go for the cut back here, just a tiny nudge as I try to get the cut back done. So we're going to have to settle in behind and get the job done properly at the next corner. So tucking into the slipstream, which we all know is massively overpowered on Gran Turismo Sport. Tucking in fully and looking for that 100 board, boom on the brakes. Up the inside we go. Maybe I am now the Apex King. Get the job done. Didn't really fight that one too much. And we are up into the lead of the race. Now, by the end of the race, we managed to open up that gap, as I think people weren't managing their fuel properly and then had to slow down quite a lot. That guy who we just overtook went down to 5th in the end. And we had a nice 11-second margin in the end. So a good little bit of fun there, just trying to avoid the trouble, see if it's possible. But that wasn't enough, you know. We went for another race after this. And there is Alex Albon bringing home his 6th win on this account. Good stuff. 72 points earned for our first ever FIA race on this account, actually. But we go again with the theme of the meme continuing here at Autopolis in Daily Race C. Once again, starting at the back against a load of BS drivers. I'm now in an AlphaTauri car for some reason. So Alex Albon has switched allegiance from Red Bull. But let's see if that pays dividends here at Autopolis. As we go away from the line now, from 20th, let's see how the carnage unfolds at the first corner. As we're going to try to, again, Be nice and careful around Autopolis in this car, which is not an easy place to overtake, unless everyone's murdering each other. Take a look at the Swiss guy, definitely not neutral here. Up the inside, just ploughing people wide, and he kind of disappears into the crowd. Someone else spinning out there, poor Frenchman, the victim. A couple of penalties being dished out, 4 seconds apiece for this Italian and the Turkish guy. Up the inside of the orange car here, sweeps around the outside as we come through the corners, which come up towards the hairpin. Now around the outside of the Swiss guy. Now I didn't really want to do this move here, but then we kind of get forced, we get pushed into it, and then for some reason, boom, a 5-second penalty. I mean, I don't know exactly how that came about, but there, it did. So we're going to have to serve that in a few corners' time. As more carnage around the corner, gone from 12th to 11th, now up to 10th as we go past the Czech driver recovering from the grass. Up into the hairpin at the top of the hill here, just looking for a dive bomb from behind. It doesn't happen. Someone else very wide. Up into 9th, but we're going to serve this 5 seconds here as we cross the penalty zone. And we are not alone. Plenty of other people serving their penalties as well. So plenty of carnage here. This is going to be a very dangerous moment. Coming down into this downhill, fast sweeping right-hander. Coming out of the Ghost on the apex, not ideal. But we come through this right-hander, and then we're going to get kind of swarmed wide by, it's the Swiss guy who's not feeling at all neutral today. And that's probably an overused joke, but there you go. Now, coming through here, final sector here, normally, as the Frenchman drive off the circuit, normally it's a 1-by-1 sort of situation around here, single file only, but you tell that to the load of BS drivers, it's not going to happen, mate. So, out of the final turn, lap number 1, 10% of the race complete, and we've gone up 6 positions at this point. Now, coming up towards turn number 1 then, as we're up behind the Frenchman, looking up the inside, is it going to be possible? It's definitely possible, fairly late on the brakes. He actually keeps that really well around the outside, fair play to him. And when you see that there, you just know that that guy ahead's going to get a penalty. And, well, yes, it happened, true to form. Obviously it was his fault. What a dirty guy. Obviously that's sarcasm, don't take that seriously. Now, a little bit later, lap number 3, trying to go past the Spaniard, as the Italian and the Spaniard going sideways with each other, and we get the job done around the outside. And we're sort of 3 abreast through the hairpin here. Doesn't really often happen in the top lobbies, but in BS lobbies, anything's possible. Anything is possible. As we move up into now 9th. Going to look for the move on the Italian, up towards the hairpin at the top of the hill here. Definitely an overtaking place, but this is a circuit which is difficult to overtake around. It really is not an easy place to pass. Anywhere. I suppose the turn 1, turn 1's probably the best place. I'm going to try and go for that here. In fact, no, this is the final corner. That's not turn 1 at all. But we were going to set him up for a move at turn 1, but if they make a mistake, then I suppose you might as well just take advantage. So there we go. Go up into 7th. We're going to tuck over to the left-hand side to get the slipstream of the cars ahead. So we've got a nice safe margin to the Italian here. Up towards first corner, braking just after 100 board, turning in. And then the Italian just kind of sticks his nose in just to say hi, and there he goes. He goes back past. So this is the thing you have to be wary of, that typically people will just go full send. And it's something I've noticed. I think in higher split lobbies, people think more long-term in the race, and in lower split, people think more short-term. We showed him who's boss here, just by going past again up the inside. But people, I suppose, it's just a different mentality. People will see a space and they'll just instantly go for it. Sometimes it's not best to always just go for a move if it's on. Sometimes it can be better overall for the whole race to sit behind, and gain time on people up ahead. There's more to it than just overtaking at every single opportunity. Tell that to Ayrton Senna, I guess, but there's multiple ways to race, I suppose. Up the inside of the Frenchman, we get the job done. There's me just going flying up the inside, as we do on lap 6 up into 5th place. A little bit later, lap 7, try to get past this guy. This guy was actually really good at defending, but then he let his guard slip here, goes a little bit wide, so the space really opened up. We do actually need to make fast progress in this one. We don't want to sit behind people for too long, I suppose. Finish driver. This is always a beautiful moment. Kept him to the inside, and then off he goes. focused way too much on these mirrors, and now he's got a cockpit full of gravel as he visits the gravel realm. Unlucky pal. And now up behind second place, a little bit wide there, perhaps again focused too much on the mirrors and not just taking the line. Through this final section, just take the racing line, focus on your line, and then people probably won't be able to get past you. But anyway, at the end of the race, finishing in second, the guy in the lead was actually pretty quick, setting the fastest lap though on the final lap. And it was all a good bit of fun in the end. And I hope you found the video fun. I do hope you've enjoyed it as always. And do let me know your thoughts. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram if you fancy. But in the meantime, have a nice day and I shall see you next time. Goodbye.